Solar panels, wind turbines and electric cars are key technologies for the green transition. And nearly every electronic product contains microchips. Consequently, the global demand for microchips is rising rapidly. At the moment, microchips are mainly manufactured in South Korea, the USA and Taiwan, while only 10% are produced in Europe. Shortages of electronic components, such as microchips, have severe impacts on the entire economy, as the chip crisis showed in the year 2022. As a response, the EU has passed the so-called European Chip Act, which aims at mobilizing 43 billion euros of public and private investments until the year 2030. Infineon is one of the top 10 semiconductor manufacturers in the world. And Sabine Herrlichka has been the CEO of Infineon Austria for nearly 10 years, and she has a perfect overview of the electronics sector. How is Europe positioned in the global competition for microchip manufacturing?
Europe is currently positioned with a bit less than 10% of global chip manufacturing. And in the course of the currently negotiated CHIPS Act, the ambition is to reach 20% of global chip manufacturing by 2030. This is highly ambitious. We are talking about a market of some $550 billion worldwide. And this market is going to double. So the ambition to double from 10% to 20% is ambitious, but in a market that is also doubling. So it's really, really ambitious.
What are competitive strengths of Europe in chip manufacturing?
Particularly in the power electronics sector. What is power electronics? This is the key technology that unlocks the potential of energy efficiency. Therefore, we say these are the energy-saving chips. Second, I would mention sensors in various fields. And the third one is security.
What multiplier effects has investing in chip manufacturing in Europe?
One job created at Infineon Austria creates some additional, at least 3 further jobs in our value chain with customers, with suppliers, with startups around us. So in this entire ecosystem.
What critical raw materials have to be considered when safeguarding resilient supply chains?
The Ukraine war demonstrated that it's not only let's say strategic components you would have thought of, but just the scarcity of some of the components make them critical. But typically the strategic elements of the value chains, and as such, of course, also the raw materials play a crucial role.
And how are sustainability and responsibility related to competitiveness?
The Green Deal is major initiative. I mean, this is a highly ambitious political goal, a set of measures, but the core essence has to be that sustainability and competitiveness go hand in hand. Otherwise, it won't work.
Microchips are just one part of the electronics manufacturing sector, which includes much more, such as household and entertainment electronics, computer hardware, data centers, mobile and power networks, and many more. The green transition addresses the entire electronics manufacturing sector, its suppliers, and its customers, which means the entire supply chain from mining to the recycling of electronic products. Responsible sourcing, when it takes an upstream perspective, asks about the social and environmental conditions of suppliers. Let's take a conventional mobile phone as an example. In addition to plastics and glass, it contains around 30 different minerals and metals. Many of them are either rare or mined and processed under hazardous or difficult conditions. Responsibility and sustainability, when it takes a so-called downstream perspective, asks what actually happens to the phone when it's no longer used. Is it simply taken to the nearest landfill? Are the raw materials recycled? And if so, under what social and environmental conditions? The third perspective involves the electronic products themselves. Are they long-lasting? Can they be repaired? Can individual components like the display or battery of a mobile phone be replaced? All three perspectives, upstream, downstream, and product design, are equally considered in the resourcing roadmap for the electronics sector. Mariana Lukic is a member of the resourcing project team and an expert in responsible supply chains at the Institute for Managing Sustainability. Mariana, how was the resourcing roadmap for the electronics sector created?
The resourcing roadmap for electronics was developed through a participatory process involving businesses, policymakers, researchers, and NGOs from all over Europe.
Who is the resourcing roadmap intended for?
We have three key stakeholders in mind. It helps businesses to increase supply chain transparency and develop lifecycle business strategies, including end-of-life logistics, collection, and recycling. It supports policymakers by identifying key steps for achieving the targets of the Paris Agreement and the EU Green Deal. And civil society and citizens benefit from increased transparency regarding energy and raw materials and longer product lifespans, which are addressed in the roadmap.
What goals and measures does the roadmap include in the upstream perspective, specifically regarding the suppliers of the electronics sector?
Firstly, it ensures the safeguarding of human rights along the entire value chain, including mining, such as no forced or child labor, full protection of the rights of indigenous people in extraction projects, and penalties for consistent human rights violations. Secondly, it aligns with the UN Sustainable Development Goals by substantially reducing pollution and resource consumption across the entire value chain. And thirdly, it emphasizes transparency regarding social and environmental impacts throughout the value chain, for example through mineral tracing and blockchain applications.
What goals and measures does the roadmap include in the downstream perspective, focusing on the use and recycling of electronic products throughout the product lifecycle?
It aims for widespread collection and recycling of electronic products, along with the development of lifecycle business strategies. It also emphasizes preventing uncontrolled and illegal e-waste exports and providing consumer information about resource and energy use through digital passports.
And what goals and measures does the roadmap include regarding the design of electronic products?
Circular economy aspects are of great importance here, including no planned obsolescence, a focus on longevity, reusability and repairability, and the right to repair. Additionally, there must be significant reductions in direct and indirect energy consumption and efforts to discourage fast fashion practices in the electronics industry. For instance, currently, the average lifespan of a mobile phone is only 21 months before it is replaced with a new one. This needs to change significantly. In the long run, our goal is to increase the recycling rate of products and materials to over 90% through design and downstream measures.
Electronics are a key sector for Europe's global competitiveness and for the green transition. If we want to strengthen European values like responsibility, sustainability and human rights, we need to expand research, innovation and production capacities in Europe. And we need to take a broad perspective on the entire value chain. We need sustainable product design, minimize fast fashion practices as much as possible, and establish circular value chains to keep resources in circulation for as long as possible. The resourcing roadmap shows how this can be achieved and sets specific goals for 2025, 2030 and 2050. If you're interested, please download the roadmap from our website, resourcing.eu.